Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again, today with a brand new video, and yesterday we went class by class and took a look throughout Hearthstone's 10-year history. Which classes have been nerfed the most, the least, and today we're gonna go through every expansion and adventure in Hearthstone's history and see which content drops have been nerfed the most and nerfed the least. Are there any that have been not nerfed at all? There's actually one. We'll start with that. And as always, if you enjoy the content on the channel, feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like, it helps us out a lot. So yeah, as I alluded to, there's only one content drop in Hearthstone's history that has never seen a nerf, and that's Black Rock Mountain. 0 nerfs, even though it had cards like Emperor Thorcid, which has recently been buffed to, 5 mana, and also Flamewaker, which has been all over the place in both Standard and Wild. Never nerfed. Really well-designed set. I will mention it did have Grim Patron, which got Warsong murdered, but overall, nothing directly nerfed in that expansion. Next, we have the Gallocrod's Awakening Adventure. Getting only Frenzied Fellwing got nerfed. It lost to health at some point. Turns out a 0 mana 3/3 is good, and this card still sees play in Wild today. Next, we have Goblins versus Gnomes, which only saw one card nerfed, and no, it wasn't Dr. Boob. It was Shadow Boxer. Basically, they had to change the wording on it to make it not create an infinite loop when Lifesteal was introduced to the game. League of Explorers has seen one card nerfed in Naga Sea Witch, which was nerfed specifically for Wild because they changed the rules on how it would cheat giants out and it became a big problem. So they bumped it to like 8 mana instead of 5. And yeah, somehow Tuttle Trog never got nerfed when that ran rampant for a very long time. Curse of Naxxramas saw only one nerf as well. That being to the Undertaker, not the WWE one, but that guy there that just kept getting bigger and bigger every time a death rattle was played. It's been since reverted and is not really a player at all in any formats, although some twist seasons have seen it see some play. The Path of Arthas, the Deathlight only kind of adventure content drop, whatever you want to call it, saw one nerf to Glacial Advance, where basically 1 mana cheat was taken away. It would reduce your next spell by 2. It went down to 1 and has since been reverted. Next, we have One Night in Karazhan getting 2 nerfs. One, I believe, to Spirit Claws, which of course has been reverted, is seeing play today in Standard in the core set, in Nature Shaman, and Bards, which went from 4 to 5 mana and has thankfully stayed there. Rostigan's Rumble has actually seen a couple of nerfs, maybe surprised to some. Raiding Party, which is in the core set right now, went from 3 to 4, eventually got reverted, and Spirit of the Frog went 3 to 5 mana, but mainly just due to Wild. It was just broken in Wild for a long time. And yeah, is at 5 and still actually does see some play. Wizbeg's Workshop already not on the bottom of this list because we have 3 nerfs from this set already, with Umpire's Grasp being one of them. It hasn't gone live yet, but it'll be going to 4 mana. We have Tigress Plushie as well as Ziliax, and I imagine this number will go up in the upcoming months. Next, I'm just calling this the core set exclusive cards. These were cards just made specifically for the core set, those being Bloodsail Deckhand, which for a while was a 2/2, Battlefield Necromancer, which for a while was a 2/3, Overseer for Jadara went from a 5/6 to a 3/6, and Thrall's Gift recently lost Lightning Bolt and gained Lightning Storm, although I'd argue that's a buff sideways, but they called it a nerf, so I'm calling it a nerf. Another considerably weak set is the Grand Tournament, but this one's got a bit of a flavor to it because a lot of these cards were recently buffed and then nerfed because of Twist and all that. Tuskar Totemic back in the day was just broken, would summon any totem, and you can imagine that now with you have like 8/8 totems, that would be pretty insane. Aviana went from 9 to 10, recently went back to 9, and then Dark Bargain went from 6 to 3 for the Twist event and is now at 4, and Tiny Knight of Evil went from +1/+1 to +2/+2. Now it's +2/+1. So yeah, a little bit of Twist shenanigans in this one. The Old Gods has seen 4 nerfs, but one of them is kind of later to the party, like for the Twist up. But we have Call the Wild went from 8 to 9 for a bit. Yogg Saron was a pretty big menace, and they made it so that if he silenced himself or destroyed himself, he would stop casting random spells. Dreadseed no longer instantaneously resurrected because of like infinite loops with Defile, and Blade of Cthulhu was buffed I think to 6 or 5 mana. I can't remember. That's the number it's at now, and that was done for Twist. So yeah, Old Gods not too heavily nerfed. You'll note a lot of the less nerfed sets are the older ones. It really escalates as we go along. Boomsday got 5 different nerfs and was one of the weaker sets overall, where they buffed a bunch of cards. It was the first ever buff event, but Giggling Adventure went from 5 to 7. It's now 6. Luda's Pocket Galaxy got buffed to 5, is back to 7. Extra Arms got buffed to 2. It's still at 3 mana to this day. Reckless Experimenter, basically there was an infinite loop with Snip Snap, so they had to change it so that it couldn't do that, but it's since been reverted because they changed the way Echo works. And Dr. Boom Mad Genius went from 7 to 9 mana and is back to 7. Demon Hunter Initiate set saw 5 different nerfs, one to Blade Dance, Twin Slice, Altruist, Battlefield, and I-Beam. I-Beam being literally the day after Demon Hunter launched. Mean Street saw 5 nerfs to Small Time Buccaneer, Patches the Pirate, he still doesn't have charge, Raza, Cabal Lackey, which is more recent just because Secret Mage and Wild has been done forever, so they made a change, and Madame Goya, which they changed because it created some bugs and issues recently. So yeah, that one got nerfed / kind of buffed, depending on how you look at it. Next we have the Saviors of Uldum, which saw Mogu Fleshshaper, Dino Tamer Brand, Toldoran Pilgrim, Bloodsworn Mercenary, and recently Dwarven Archaeologist got like completely reworked. It used to make like, if you discovered a card, it costs 1 less. Now you just discover a card, it costs 1 less. And tied with that is Ungoro with 5 different nerfs, with the Caverns Below being twice, and yes, I count it both times. Open the Waygate, that was a wild nerf, as well as Blood Bloom was a wild nerf, and then Earthered Scales went to 2 mana once it was a part of the core set and was just deemed too good for standard. Next at 6 nerfs, we have the Wild Only Caverns of Time, which launched last summer with Jade Telegram, Trial the Jormonger, Scarab Gong for that rogue legendary, Chamber of Viscidus, and Blast from the Past and Ivory Rook, all receiving balance changes. Frozen Throne, which is like Druidstone incarnate, had 6 different nerfs, with Spreading Plague still being at 6 mana to this day, Serenite Chain Gang, Bone Mare, Leeching Poison no longer giving infinite lifesteal, thank goodness, although I kind of miss it. Shadow Essence, which was done specifically for Wild, as well as Spectral Pillager, another wild nerf. And the last expansion in single digits, with Rise of Shadows receiving 7 different nerfs, with Conjurer's Calling went from like 3 to 4 mana. Archivist Elysian at one point was 9 because the casters didn't want to cast infinitely long games in competitive. Evil Miscreant lost to health for a while. Sludge Slurper lost an attack for a while. Rapid Fire, I believe, is still at 2. And Scargill got nerfed recently for Wild. Now we hit Festival Legends, where we're in the double digits, so we'll try and just highlight some of the more broken cards from these sets and not go over every one of them. But like Hollow Hound was pretty iconic for both Death Knight and Hunter. Tony, King of Piracy, had to be totally reworked. Symphony of Sins was another one of those cards that got buffed and then had to get nerfed afterwards. And Pozic losing attack, and is still a very relevant card in the game today. Time with Festival at 10 is Kobolds and Catacombs, which saw the infamous Corridor Creeper. It was a sleeper. It's still a 2/5 to this day. Call to Arms, just an absolutely insane card. Went to 5 for a while. We had like Twig of the World Tree, which was reworked to refresh, as well as Cataclysm reworked and mana changed, and all of that due to Wild shenanigans. Dark Moon Fair comes in next with 11 nerfs, including Deck of Lunacy for a little bit. That was just an absolute chaotic thing when it would just give you insane 10-cost spells, kind of like we're seeing with the Tendrils these days. Hysteria got nerfed twice. It was that crazy. That was for 2 classes as well. You had Il'gynoth, the ultimate combo card for Demon Hunter, and of course just one of the most toxic cards ever, Cloak of Shadows, which remains at 4 to this day. Next we have the Descent of Dragons, one of the most busted sets in my opinion, but hey, it's only got 13 nerfs, but there's some pretty crazy ones in there, like Dragon Queen Alexstrasza got nerfed twice, although it's back to where it started today. All the Galakron Invoke cards, as we mentioned yesterday, and like Galakron the Nightmare itself for Rogue getting reworked for a little bit for the cards not to cost 0. really insane set, but hey, it's not even close apparently to what we're gonna see going forward. With next we have Forge in the Barrens. Yes, the weak, terrible expansion that people complain about had 15 nerfs, including multiple to Celestial Alignment. We had Efficient Octobot, which is a nutty card, the Watch Post cards, Man Crick, Refreshing Springwater, quite a few really strong cards from that set. We have one of the more recent expansions next on the list with 16 nerfs. That would be Titans. I'm sure there probably will be still some more down the road, but Yogg Saron Unleashed, part of its mini set, just ridiculously, insanely broken. We had Sanitize getting nerfed pretty recently. Odin getting nerfed pretty recently as well. Starstrung Bow's another example. Just a lot of really crazy cards in here, including the one that I called one of the earliest nerfs, Lab Constructor, the mech that you just, if you didn't kill, you were going to lose the game. Next, we have Alterac Valley at 19 nerfs, a really powerful set that had a lot of hero cards, and a lot of them got nerfed, like Lightforged Cariel going to 8. Everybody's favorite card, Guff, no longer giving that full mana crystal. Magister Dawngrass getting hit as well. You also had Snowfall Guardian getting nerfed twice. It used to freeze everything and also grow based on that. You had Kazakusan getting nerfed twice. Really, really crazy set, as well as Skullament at 19. Different balance changes that includes multiple nerfs to First Day of School, multiple nerfs to Mind Render Elusia. You had Voracious Reader at 2 mana, just an absolute broken style of card. And then of course Flesh Giant and Lightning Bloom. Tied with that, another quite recent set just rotated from standard, Sunken City, including a lot of warrior nerfs like Tidal Revenant, Nelly from the Depths. You had Spitelash Siren nerfed multiple times, also like buffed multiple times. Why? Bioluminescence. A lot of pretty nutty cards here, including just a really cool card, In School Teacher, which again has been fully reverted since. Next, we're hitting the 20s. Yes, 20 nerfs for March of the Lich King. This was the set that introduced Death Knight, but there's only a couple of Death Knight nerfs in here, and Blight Fang in Construct Quarter. But overall, lots of like Hunter nerfs with like Shock Spitter multiple times, Faithful Companions, Unleash Fel, a new Bracan multiple times. You should be able to play, if you had armor, just play minions till you're done. It was just absolutely nuts. And even had Thaddeus, which got reworked multiple times as well. Next, we have my favorite expansion. It is not the most nerfed, but at 21 nerfs, we have United in Stormwind, which introduced the quest lines, which saw a number of them get nerfed, including the Mage quest line, the Demon Seed for Warlock, the Hunter quest line, the Warrior quest line, the Shaman quest line. We had Rune Mithril Rod getting nerfed multiple times. He had Garrote, he had Battlemaster. So many insanely broken cards in the set. Grey Sage Parrot getting nerfed, Mr. Smite. It's just, oh my goodness. I'm glad that set's not in standard, but it still has a huge impact in Wild to this very day. Next, we have at 22 nerfs, Showdown in the Badlands. Yes, the set that just came out last winter saw Blind Eye Sharpshooter get nerfed. Druid got like nerfed like crazy. These are the Druid cards alone. Splish Splash Whelp, Desert Matron, Shadow Reflections, Cactus Construct, Pendant of Earth. Like, it got destroyed. And then also Warlock was a big part of that recently with the whole Sludge Warlock, like Sludge on Wheels, Waste Remover, Chaos Creation. But you can see the power level lately going crazier and the balance changes going even crazier on that. And then we have our top 2 expansions with Ashes of Outland getting number 2. I would argue probably more busted than number 1, but yes, the Demon Hunter introduction saw a ton of balance changes. The Demon Hunter cards alone, you had Metamorphosis, Kane Sunfury, Warglaives of Azeroth, Priestess of Fury, Crimson Sigil Runner, Glaybound Adept, Skull of Gul'dan, Imprisoned Anton, Adraki Warblades, and that's just not to count all the other classes that had nerfs or multiple nerfs, like, or neutrals, with Kael'thas Sunstrider getting nerfed 3 times throughout its run. It's just an unbelievably busted set, but again, a lot of it had to do with just Demon Hunter being outright ridiculous. But even Priest got hit hard with Apotheosis and Renew, Dark Glare in there multiple times, and Cancer's Flow in there multiple times. Just a ridiculous expansion. But at number 1, we have another pretty recent set that just rotated, but again, I'm gonna say it's kind of skewed by the Wild Seed package. It is a Murder at Castle Nathria with 32 nerfs. But yes, I did include those Wild Spirit cards or Wild Seed cards. Every time they got nerfed, 4 cards got nerfed, and that happened 3 different times. So you exclude those, it's more middle of the pack. But even then, you have some pretty ridiculous cards in here, like Theotar, which got nerfed multiple times, Prince Renethal, Sire Denathrius, Kael'thas Sinstrider, living up to the Kael'thas name. A ton of insanely crazy cards in here, but yeah, definitely highlighted and kind of probably inflated by those Wild Seed cards. And then I will mention that Classic, the original base of Hearthstone, is the most nerfed content still to this day, with 39 different balance changes that have happened over time. You could go back to all the way back to like Starving Buzzard going from 2 to 5 mana, Leroy going 4 to 5 mana, to more recent changes like Sorcerer's Apprentice getting bumped up to 4 mana. Sacrificial Pact no longer be able to attack any demon or destroy any demon, stopping those Jiraxxus lethals. But yeah, Classic has had the most time in the game and is still the most nerfed, but not by a lot, because yes, Hearthstone power creep and nerfs go pretty crazy. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.